represent for higher GC News. Mima Obibia Akwaba had the latest hot and I'm a Bramo. And so you subscribe to channel idea, Bomodia say over subscribe. The way I say we click the subscribe button, Now we barely notification. We have video for be upload when the first person once a video. I feel we are now like video no give us a thumbs up now fee share my for so that when you be here now and somewhere also Ghana memo I feel Yimbura somewhere abeto yapono you could see a yes I report here about Mama a yes and
did not surprise you, at least based on the chronicling of events that the special prosecutor gave. Is it the case that Ken Ofori-Atta's lawyers, the approach they took did not help, or this outcome would certainly have been the case no matter how it was approached?
Oh, you can see that quite clearly. His defense team was in shambles. They didn't do a good job at all, right? So this very key to this discussion, the analysis, is the fact that, you see, when Ofori-Atta was given the extension to 2nd June, that was in February, right? That was reached sometime in February.
Yes.
So he had a lot of time. March, he had the whole of April, right? Part of March, a larger part of March, and the whole of April to, come back to the OSP. If he saw that he was going to need a further extension. Look at the thing. This is the thing. Yeah. At the time they gave him extension to 2nd June to meet OSP, he was billed to undergo the surgery on 20th and 21st March. Yeah. Very key. Let's look at that. So he was billed to go under the knife on 20th and 21st March. Those were the 2 days for the surgery. Now, before that date, even if we are using 21st March as a date, it became clear to him that the surgery will no longer come on. The key thing is that why didn't Ofori-Atta reach out to the special prosecutor? Why didn't he reach out to the special prosecutor at least from 21st March? That, Mr. Gabby, we agreed I would see you on the 2nd of June. Right? Because I was going to do surgery on 20th and 21st March. But now, today is 21st March. The surgery has not taken place. There are going to be other moves here and there. So, what can we do in terms of maybe rescheduling? Can we move forward my meeting with you? Anything. Anything. Once the surgery didn't come on, it's such a material fact, very, very weighty, that his defense needed to reach out to the OSP and discuss the way forward. Because let's remember, meeting adjourned to 2nd June because we are going to do surgery 20th, 21st March. 20th, 21st March, you don't do a surgery. You don't reach out to OSP. So if you check 21st June to 21st April, 1 month, 21st May, 2 months, then his lawyers write on the 28th of May. Yeah. I mean, come on. That's where he lost it. That's where he lost it. It's as if he and his lawyers, they don't even appreciate the quagmire in which Ofori-Atta finds himself. I mean, we all lived here. Ghanaians were unhappy that Akufo Addo has made his brother Ofori-Atta the finance minister. We borrow, then they make money. We borrow, then they make money through data bank. So their families become very rich from the loans that today are killing us, right? So if you have lawyers who don't put all of this in context, then you are in serious trouble. Because it's very, very, very important that you should know that people want Ofori-Atta to be held accountable. Because they've made too much money. Under the guise of it's legitimate. Data bank was already doing that work, which is false. Kweku Kyeremanteng came and sat here and said, look, when he was deputy finance minister, they brought on data bank and Toby for this company, Strategic African Securities, right, to learn from the big boys, the white boys. So they were understanding the whites. Yet as soon as MPP came in, suddenly Data Bank has become a very experienced company that's the one doing all the work, which is lies. How many years do you understudy? You hear people say, oh, he has been issuing bonds long ago, from a long time. When he was just given that experience, his company was given that experience. In the NDC2 administration, that's the 2013 to 2016 JM administration. But they kept lying. People who supported it kept lying. Oh, Ofori-Atta has been doing this work, issuing these bonds for decades. It's different. They were trading in securities. These ordinary treasury bills, EPAC, those are domestic securities, not international bonds, not the ones that suddenly Data Bank was making a lot of money from. But they deceived the public, and people kept repeating it. They've been doing this for long. So the main point we're making is that you would find that based on the way they were openly taking our money through Data Bank, millions of Ghanaians were not happy. And then, because we kept saying that they are corrupt, apart from what we could see through the open taking of money through Data Bank when Ghana borrows, we could also see that there had been the KPMG report on SML. You would see the Ofori-Atta's hands all over it. You would see the National Cathedral one. Yes, he went to Parliament, the essential vote. He went and said they took it from a contingency vote. That's the money, right? Contingency vote, meaning that they use contingency funds to do National Cathedral. Every auditor, accountant will tell you that no, you don't embark on such a massive project with contingency money, etc. So National Cathedral, SML, at least these were very public. People knew. It appears the other ones were ones that, well, I hadn't said, especially the PF fund, the tax fund.
Yes.
Right? And also the one involving the Chinese company.
We'll put the notice.
Yeah, please put them.
The wanted notice has the details.
Yes. But at least two of them, National Cathedral was very, 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 very open. People, millions of Ghanaians knew it. SML also open. Bemboachi's African, this is Center for Energy Policy, etc., CDD and the rest. I let them. We've sued SML and sued Ofori-Atta himself.
I see. You are in court.
Yes, we are in court. So these things are things that he should know. So anybody advising him will know that, hey, master, you are public enemy number one. So everything you do, your surgery didn't come on. Inform the OSP and see how to maybe come back to Ghana quickly to take care of this business and go back, whatever. You think, yes, upon all I've said, you think that today, if every doctor who comes to look at Ofori-Atta in Ghana tells us that no, this man needs to go back for surgery, Ghanaians will say no, he should die. Yes, of course, naturally you'll find some who will say he should die, but the larger majority of us are reasonable. Everybody will agree that, okay, let him go for surgery and come. So this whole thing, not to come into Ghana, not to, give the OSP the needed cooperation, is something that just puts his whole defense in shambles, right? And tells us that there are sinister motives. Yeah, he's not showing good faith. This is common sense. Common sense, very basic. Very basic.
His lawyer said they gave the OSP the letter information needed that he was due, for instance, in the June 13 for another procedure. And so that should have been considered as well by the special prosecutor. They say that still they left him in shambles. That's how you put it, based on what has happened now?
Yes. Oh, listen, like I said, it doesn't change anything. You see, let's go back. March 21. March 20th and March 21 were the dates for the surgery. March. Yes. The surgeries didn't come on those dates. And I can even tell you from my experience that the way the US people work, even though the US, Ghana, I would be sure that 2 to 3 days before the surgery, if it's no longer coming on, they would know because of the way they arrange their things. If the surgery, let's even say that we cannot tell, maybe there was an emergency on the day of the surgery. So let's leave that side. Let's use what? On 20th of March, he didn't do a surgery. 21st of March, he didn't do a surgery. So why did he keep quiet till the 28th May? That's the key thing. This particular thing, when you are analyzing, you don't need to talk plenty. Simply, 21st March, your surgery didn't come on. Why did you keep quiet? till 28th of May, more than 2 months. And the June 13th, you are saying, unless Mr. Okan say last week, unless I missed something, that June 13th, when did he write? When did he write to OSP? That's the key. As far as I'm aware, OSP says it's 28th May. Is there an earlier letter than 28th May that we can use?
So there was a 28th May that there was another court. In fact, the Ken Ofori-Atta's lawyers filed another case in court on the 28th of May. But then this letter, which we're going to put on the screen from the Mayo Clinic in the United States, let's put that on the screen right now. That letter had some detail specific to what was the latest medical condition of Ken Ofori-Atta and the date that you talk about and when this was written. And this is it. It says, "Dear Sir, Madam," and this was written on May 14th. The date on this letter is May 14th.
But when did it come to the attention of the OSP? That's a key thing.
It says, "I'm writing to inform you that Ken Ofori-Atta has undergone an MR-guided biopsy and has been diagnosed with prostate cancer. A surgical intervention has been deemed necessary after the testing and MRI and biopsy procedures in March." So what happened in March was the testing and MRI.
Yes, but not the surgery. So at that time, they had said that they were going to do surgery. You see, not a biopsy. Said they were going to do surgery. He was due for surgery. So then OSP looked at it and magnanimously gave more time because after surgery, you need to what? Recover. As for this particular case, you remember, let's put this in context. You remember the first time OSP declared him wanted, I sat here and granted many interviews and said I disagreed strongly with the OSP. I disagreed the first time. Because why? Like we say in Ghanaian English, when Ofori-Atta was traveling out of Ghana, he wrote a letter and took it to Chief of Staff, Mr. Julius Debra. It was Mr. Debra who didn't give the security agencies. That's something I fault him too for. Knowing everything around Ofori-Atta, I'm so surprised that, extremely surprised that the letter was taken to Mr. Debra's office and they didn't give the security agencies. Maybe it's something we should be investigating and fire the people. Maybe I can imagine Chief of Staff, he can say, look, he can't read every letter. But his office, who is in charge? How did they manage that? A letter, Ofori-Atta says, I'm traveling out of Ghana. It comes to the Chief of Staff's office and him. I mean, anybody knows that, hey, this man, everybody knew right away after the elections that he'll be the #1 person to answer questions. So he says he's traveling. And so what kind of people are employed in the Chief of Staff's office that none of them could see that this is something we must pass on to all the law enforcement agencies so that if they need him, they can, invite him and get necessary arrangements. Today, when I look at it, I'm like, oh, child. Anyway, I'm sure maybe we should get a full day for that. So, Mr. Debra, you should be investigating people in your office. How come? Because now you are taking the fall for it. Yes, because I can imagine that as Chief of Staff, you can't read every letter. But you employ those people. They work under you. So how can such a letter come to your office and not be given to police, Yoko, OSP? It beats my mind. So totally.
The expectation was that as the letter was written, and at least the various security agencies should have been alerted.
Absolutely. This one is no brainer. How? He writes you know that Chief of Staff, you don't do investigations. So you should know that when such a letter comes, automatically it's meant for law enforcement agencies. Because Chief of Staff, you are taking care of the president. So he says, because the president implements the laws under Article 58. So he's informed president, you should take it out. And so for that reason, I told you that the first time OSP declared him wanted, I said, no, I don't agree because the man went out legally. He even informed, even the letter wasn't necessary, but he took an extra step and informed, right? So you can see that is me. And me, knowing that today, if it comes, it's good for my court case. But you see, well, it's not my case. It's the CDD, etc. I'm lawyer for that.
It's your case, essentially.
Well, but so, you say, yes, but I have to be fair to him. So that first time, I said, no, I disagree with OSP. We gave you so much support. Then you sit down and do this. I look at it and I'm like, this man. But it's good we gave him the benefit of the doubt. We, as lawyers, we are trained to use due process. Of course, inside me, yes, you have doubts, you have suspicions, but in law they say a multitude of suspicions don't constitute evidence. And it's not proof, right? So I said, no, let's go by due process. Because he wrote that letter, I didn't support OSP on that first outing. But so many months on, and then you repeat the same thing, shambolic performance. So for me, this is it. It's good that the OSP has declared him wanted again, except that OSP 2, we need him to answer some questions. I've raised it before. You see that under the Mutual Legal Assistance Act, Act 807, 2010, you know, that one is for criminal cases. So if you need help, the person is outside Ghana, you go through our Attorney General, then our Attorney General will write to the U.S. government. At least at a point, they are saying Ofori-Atta is in the U.S. or any other country.
Yes. Okay. So they give 6 locations, but this Mayo Clinic, we know it's in the U.S. They have other branches. I think from our search, we saw one in the UAE, one in China, and then also about 11 other countries as well. But this letter purported to be from his doctors. It's from the Mayo Clinic in the U.S.
Exactly. So you write to the American, so the Attorney General, Dr. Ayine, would reach out to the U.S. government. We need Ofori-Atta for this. Long and short, what I'm saying is that we should have also used a bit of that time from the February to June, you see, so that we could have reached out. So speaking plainly, for me, I to date, Mr. Agyapong hasn't explained. And you see, we are using information. So speaking plainly, I'm not altogether happy with Mr. Agyapong that he didn't use the video conferencing facilities that you can use if you apply to the U.S. authorities, where they would then grant facilities so that you would do video conference. It's in the law. So that you can conference with Ofori-Atta whilst you're there. Because from February to June was a lot of time. That's why I say, so it's based on information. You see, when you're in public office, you know how Ghanaians are. We are minimum 33, 34 million citizens, right? So we'll ask questions. So you should see that Ghanaians will ask questions. So when there's a law that says that we can seek the help of the foreign government so that we can talk to him, do video conference, ask him to bring documents, etc. If you reject it, then come with reasons for us to be at par with you, because you know it's governance. If you say, oh, you are the OSP, Mr. Agyapong cannot even say he doesn't owe us an explanation. He does, because these are state resources. The time we're using is also a resource. So why are we sitting on our hands for 4 months saying, okay, we'll wait till June, when we could have been engaging him through video conferencing, etc.? You have a question?
Yes. The question was that this same question was put to the OSP during the press conference. He said that Ken Ofori-Atta and his lawyers cannot be picking and choosing.
Yes, I heard. That's not an answer.
Dictating to the OSP how the investigation.
No, that's not an answer.
Why
Please,
is that?
with due respect, that's not an answer. The question is that we have the Mutual Legal Assistance Act. US, they are always asking us for help. All right? We also ask. So if they need something, extradition, they will write to us, send us arrest warrant, all those things. Then we extradite, we arrest people here, extradite them to the US, etc. It's for cooperation and this. Because if I had the one, I want to get my investigations moving forward quickly. The man says in February, I'm not coming. But eventually you guys agree he will come in June. That's a long time. We could have negotiated that well. In the meantime, for other things, if you are strong enough, can we do a number of video conferences? This day will ask for this, that day this. Then you progress. I don't. That's why I said, so Mr. Agyapong, you need to explain why you can't. It's not an answer to say a suspect or an accused cannot pick and choose. That's not an answer. What is at stake is that our resource, our time, we've lost time. So you can't come and give us an answer that an accused cannot pick and choose. That's not an answer. You've lost time. Account for it. Why did you do that? I would have engaged him straight. I would have engaged him. Because remember, it's that the family will tell you, and the lawyer ma'am is here. It's not Ofori-Atta who is coming. He's not obliged to come and hang himself. You are investigating. You have your information that you think that, yes, this one, you think he's done something wrong. So it's your information. You have to ask him. If you are lucky and he confesses, fine. But he can still confess even if you are engaging him through this mutual legal assistance act, right, with the help of the Attorney General. So I don't understand. He should explain to us why he sat on his hands for this about how many 3.5 months minimum. It's a lot of time. You don't have much time. And you know, the expectations of Ghanaians is growing. There's pressure. So I would have engaged with Ofori-Atta. I would have. I don't know, unless maybe there's something. And when he was giving, there's something that we don't understand from here. But once we don't understand, give us the necessary information. Why you didn't engage him. But not to say that a suspect or an accused cannot pick and choose. That one, with due respect, it's not an answer. We've lost time. That's a lot of time. From February 18th, right? Yes, to June 2nd. So you had the whole of March, whole of April, whole of May. Then you add about those few, this is about half of February. Yeah, so minimum about 3.5 months. That's a lot of time, extremely. Now, I think OSP2 must answer for that. Yeah.
Well, the OSP is going to answer in a bit for it because Sammy Darko is going to be joining us on Zoom then. And I want you to respond to this, that that position that has been espoused, that under the Constitution, Ken Ofori-Atta has the right not to even incriminate himself.
Yeah.
He has a right to remain silent.
Yes, Article 19.
Even if he's extradited.
Yes. So ask him. So if you give you the information, if you are doing video conferencing, he will tell you, I will give you. And then we want your statement. Once the permission of the U.S. authorities have been sought, yeah, he will send the statement. Then at least you know that, well, this is a man who says he will not confess. Then you start preparing. But say, okay, let's wait. It's... you know, it's difficult, Mr. Jabin. This one, that side is a bit tacky. It's a bit tacky, you know, because 3.5 months is a lot of time. Lot.
Well, let me bring, like I said, Mam Hessie in a bit. That proposal about Mr. Kwame Agyarko, lawyer Kwame Agyarko said he was expecting that within this period, the OSP should have at least even traveled to authenticate whether or not Ken Ofori-Atta is sick. I think got into that point as yet.
Please come again.
Whether his proposal was that I think Lawyer Matipebu also supports that between February and June, the OSP should have taken a step to authenticate whether or not Ken Ofori-Atta is sick.
Okay.
You say it hasn't gotten to that point as yet. Why?
I mean, for me, I mean, I am of the humble opinion that the OSP, just like all the security service involved in investigation, is to investigate the offenses that he so alleges. As to whether the man is sick or not, when an invitation is extended to him, his handlers, albeit his lawyers, they are to come in to indicate his situation. So, in respect of his health, they are to show that forthrightness with the OSP, indicates that this is it. The man is not well, and it's not just letter writing, but it should be supported that indeed this is the situation. But we witnessed a lack of let me say judiciousness, as saying the information flow was not there, and it meant more of negotiating with such information. The information given to the OSP could be treated as confidential, not necessarily divulged to the public. And I believe that if probably the lawyers had done that, we wouldn't have gotten to this escalated level. But for the OSP, he is not too minded about further putting in resources to know whether the man is indeed sick or not. Because, number one, the OSP is even so not sure where the whereabouts of of Mr. Ken. That is the reason why he went to the circuit court to procure a warrant of arrest. And based on that warrant of arrest, he's now going through Interpol for the red notice and now seeking further procedures through the Office of the Attorney General for extradition processes to kick in.
Well, I'm just on that point, and because of that issue you raised, Sammy Darko, lawyer Sammy Darko, is joining us on the telephone. But it was trying to get him on Zoom, but we couldn't connect. But he's joining us on the telephone right now, thankfully, to respond to some of the issues that you have raised. He's the Director of Strategy, Research and Communications Division of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, OSP. Lawyer Sammy Darko, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Alfred.
Now, first off, why did you, I mean, the Mayo Clinic letter we have has the United States address, but in the wanted notice that you published declaring Ken Ofori-Atta wanted, you listed 6 countries on there, talking about the US, UK, South Africa, Guyana, Hong Kong, Cayman Islands. Why?
Okay, thank you. First of all, let me say that it's not every information that as law enforcement we may put out for purposes of protecting our investigation. So if you see a law enforcement agency list jurisdiction, take it to mean that they have intel that may suggest a few other things than you, who is not inside the investigation, will be aware. I would like to address a little confusion in the minds of, I think, lawyers in particular. You know, some lawyers are treating Mr. Ofori-Atta as if he's an accused person, which means that Mr. Ofori-Atta has been charged, or let me begin with that. He has been arrested and charged. So they will talk about why the OSP not taking advantage of mutual legal assistance program and go and do video conferencing, blah, blah. The OSP is aware of all these things, but these things are used when a person has been arrested, charged, and placed before a court. As we speak, Mr. Ofori-Atta has not been arrested by any law enforcement agency. So the suggestion that we could take Mr. Ofori-Atta via Zoom may not apply, because we cannot arrest a person through Zoom. We cannot take a caution statement from a suspect through Zoom, because the only time you can take a caution statement is when the person has been placed under arrest properly, so-called.
Right.
And let me also address the little issue about trying absentia. If you study our Constitution very well, Article 19.3 details how trying absentia should happen. And the conditions are about 2. It says that when a person, an accused, when we say an accused, it means that you have been arrested, charged, has a disruptive behavior, like that placing before the court will disrupt proceedings. Or if the person, having been charged, that is, the accused, being placed before court, elects not to come to court at all. So there's a popular case called Kwaku, that is the Republic, which is like the case on it even ended at Court of Appeal. The whole idea is that the person must be tried in his presence, unless that person facing trial elects to say, I don't want to attend the trial, right? But we also do know that, how about if, so that's why it will even take international court. And it's the same principle across international court of human rights matters. If you take the ICC, for instance, why do you think that they issue arrest warrants for people and put them on Interpol, heads of state, former heads of state? Why? Because they could try them in absentia. So why don't they try them in absentia? But they still insist that they should have been arrested and brought. So if you say Slovakia, Milan Slovak, one of the presidents, after he had been arrested and placed before the ICC, he then elected and said, I won't come to court again. Then they decided to try him in absentia. Why is it a win to me? They not tell Yoko that you have evidence against me, I'll go to court and try me. You don't need me. Why is that today Ghana police have arrested several people, hundreds of people? Why are they not telling Ghana police that, oh, please, if you have evidence against me, go to court and start the process. I don't want to come there. Please, it is not so. Let's not, in our haste of trying to still pin an error on an agency. Agencies are not perfect, but rules are rules, laws are laws. And the OSP has tried to abide by the law. Now, let me address this issue by Ken Ofori-Atta in terms of whether they brought us a medical report or not. Ken Ofori-Atta, as we speak today, has not brought us any medical report. What Mr. Ofori-Atta has brought us are two things, and I will expatiate on the first one. The first one was that on the 28th, through his lawyers, Mr. Ofori-Atta did bring a letter from his lawyers, a very terse letter with no attachment. And the letter just read, and the SP read into the letter, but people may not have paid attention. The letter just said that we want to thank you for your indulgence of our clients. One, they even acknowledge that we have indulged their clients. And then two, they proceeded to say that our clients will not be able to come on June 2nd. Then three, they proceeded to say that our client will go and do a surgery, a cancer surgery. Then four, they said that if the office is so minded, they can meet us and allow us to see his biopsy. What it means that they want us to see his diagnostic procedures. Then the last one, they said that, or alternatively, they can seek permission of the court and allow us to see it. Then there was no other attachment. Then the second letter, which many of you have, before we could see any letter, they had already put it through Asase Radio to everybody. Apparently, they had filed a supplementary affidavit in an ongoing human rights action that Mr. Ofori-Atta had filed against the OSP, in essence trying to say that the OSP cannot declare him wanted without a warrant. Now we are producing court that we wanted to arrest Mr. Ofori-Atta based on a warrant from a court. Now they filed a supplementary affidavit apparently on the 27th. But remember, on the 28th, a day before, we were in court with them over an injunction application. They were seeking to injunct us from arresting him without a warrant. And that procedure, when they were there, they never brought it to the attention of the court nor the Office of the Special Prosecutor that they had even filed a supplementary affidavit for their old case, which they filed in March somewhere. Now, this supplementary affidavit, we saw it, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday. That's when the bailiff served the office. Now, when we even look at it, it's the same letter they've attached. Now, when you look at it, it's the same letter they've attached, and there is no diagnostic procedures attached. And yet, when you see the letter you just displayed, you see at the tail end that they have enclosed something. They said some medical report and another report. Now, these two reports, they are missing in the entire supplementary affidavit they filed in court. It's not part of it. So the exhibit does not include even that diagnostic procedure. But we are not so minded by these diagnostic procedures because those procedures can even be done in Ghana in 1 hour. If you go to the urologist department at Kolebu here, it can be done in an hour and you just go home. That is why the office has maintained that unless Mr. Ofori-Atta has a certified medical report from Mayo that says that he is incapacitated. And here, many people don't understand it when we say incapacitated. What we mean is that if somebody says he is sick, it is not a bar not to come before police. The only time you can refuse not to come to police or police will oblige you is when you are unable to say walk. You are bedridden. So we want to know whether Mr. Ofori-Atta, since February, he has been on hospital bed in Mayo Clinic till 2nd June, or Mr. Ofori-Atta since February has been traveling. We want to know. Because the only time you cannot travel is when you are bedridden. And the OSP is saying that, and that's the context many people don't understand that. We are saying that until we see a medical report that says the Ofori-Atta cannot travel, that is the only time we may accept and give him some time. Because then incapacitation counts everything. But to simply say that you are sick so you can't come, do you know how many people in Ghana are going to Kolebu for diagnostic procedures on cancer every day, and yet they are standing trial in court, they are appearing before the police people? Because the only time you go is the time you have the appointment. In between those times you don't have appointment, you have to appear. And Mr. Ofori-Atta will have to appear. That is why we are now enforcing his appearance. So we have done the right thing by placing him on Interpol red notice, which means that we want him arrested. And then we have also started the extradition process. We have written to the Attorney General. It will go through the Attorney General to Foreign Affairs so that he can then be repatriated back to Ghana. So in the long and short, Ghanaians, all the office is doing is now ensuring his attendance. That's all.
But I'm sure that's what you were responding to earlier, that based on the provisions in the Mutual Legal Assistance Act, specific to criminal cases, you could, this is Section 5K, you could have explored, and it is lawful, you could have explored the video conferencing option and even written to the authorities, the United States authorities here in Ghana.
And most especially, the act is not limited to accused persons. It's not correct.
It's not limited to accused persons.
When you are in investigation,
so you don't need to have accused Ken Ofori-Atta or being an accused person before this video conferencing option is explored.
It's not true. Let me answer you, and I'll repeat. I think that the people of Ghana heard me very well and they understand what I've said. Mr. Ofori-Atta has not been arrested.
Yes, I think that's clear.
There is nothing else we will do. You don't know why we need him. Law enforcement agency will write to you and say that we need you for interview. You don't know what happens when you enter the law enforcement office. You have no idea what it is that the OSC wants to do. And I'm saying that we can't take any statement. Who even told Ghanaians that?
Can you, look, listen, Sammy Darko, can you point to the law? Point to the law specifically.
I know you want to have your day, but
no, I'm just saying point to which section. Which section says that it's only when somebody's been arrested that you can use the Act 807?
Of knowledge.
No, don't go there.
Who told you Martin people? And as you've gone on this side, who told you that the OSP won't elevate? Hold on, if I can finish. Who told you that the OSP won't?
No, but the specific question was to, I think there was a question that was posed to you. It's not about Martin People specifically. It's a question that was posed to you. That what is the specific provision of the law? Does the law back what the position that you are espousing?
Hold on. There's too much talk. I can't hear because I'm on the phone. Those of you in the studio have the advantage of having louder voice and clearer. So if you can let me finish because I'm on the phone.
So I'm asking a question about what specific provision of the law.
I said you have called the provision, and I told you that. Who even told you that the OSP wants Mr. Ofori-Atta to write a statement? Who even said that?
But if you don't need him, then what are you doing? What are you doing?
If you don't need him to write a statement, then what's all this about?
Who even told you that it's a caution statement the OSP wants? Because the law is very clear. A person can come to you and decide that you will not even talk.
Yes,
I'm saying that USP says that it wants Mr. Ofori-Atta in person. And he has offered to us that he wanted us to take his caution statement. Listen on. Martin is saying something differently because he is saying that he wants us to take his caution statement via video conferencing. And I've just told you that even in law, we cannot take a caution statement if the person has not been arrested. And I've gone on to also show to you that you cannot arrest a person via Zoom, let alone take the caution statement via Zoom. We need Mr. Ofori-Atta in person. And it's not true that the OSC has delayed. We have our timeline of investigating. For you, you may think that the OSC has delayed. For us, we may not think we have delayed because we ought to take our time and do. And Ofori-Atta is not the only case the OSP is investigating. As I speak to you, over 30 people are on bail. Soon they will be arraigned before court. We have so many things we are doing. So the prosecutor and the investigator has his timelines of what he's doing, and he says that he needs the person to come before know him. You don't know why he needs the person.
But,
and yes, you have a right to know. But at the appropriate time, when we are now very clear that nothing compromises our investigation, we inform the people of Ghana. In any case, the USP stands out as one of the most transparent law enforcement agencies. And all of you can bear testimony to that.
Okay, Mr. Akon, so I want to ask a question. Since you said you need him, he has a right not to incriminate himself, right? So you can get him, and he still will be silent.
What is in the arrest?
So what would the arrest be?
I just told you what you just told me, that Mr. Ofori-Atta can even decide not to talk. It is not our business.
Yes.
For investigators and prosecutors, that's not our business.
Yes. So what will be the consequence of the arrest?
And you want me to be able to tell you what you need him for? And I'm saying that I cannot even disclose.
There is no. Let's come in this.
Okay,
Mr. Darko, Sammy Darko.
Yes.
Which our constitution doesn't say that, right? You see, when you say arrest is touch and then inform him the offense is committed. That's the arrest, right? Now, he's not here to be touched and informed. What in the constitution prevents us from saying that, listen, so because you are not here physically to be arrested, we are going on that, look, we would, we have a case against you, X, Y, Z. So let's go on to the next process. This touch and inform him. That's the arrest. In law, touch and inform him that we are taking you for this and that. Do you need to take him into custody before you do anything? What is this restrictive interpretation of the constitution? Catch him and inform him.
I'm not going to have anything, any banter with you. I'll answer the post now. What you have just said is not new from what I just told you.
But you said with the arrest, you cannot go on with the rest of the process.
You just made a wrong assumption. And I've just told you now that your assumption could not be true.
But that's different from saying that with the arrest, you cannot do.
You are in the studio. When I'm talking, please allow me to talk. Give me that chance.
Why?
No. Over. I just had the opportunity to address.
Okay.
So if you could just allow me to address. I've addressed you specifically that Mr. Ofori-Atta had requested for his caution statement to be taken on the internet. We have said that throughout the law, if you don't arrest a person, you can't even take a caution statement. You will not now tell us that we should do that, because you are the same people that when we don't follow law, the slightest loophole, lawyers will take advantage of it. Allow us to do our job. We know what we are doing. In fact, we know what we are doing. And nobody is infringing on the right of anyone. Mr. Ofori-Atta, if he is not incapacitated, should be able to attend to a law enforcement agency. There are several things that happen inside. You have no idea what happened when Wunmi entered Iyoko. You have no idea. We may assume. Allow the investigators to do their job.
Under the scope of
I have to go. But
but then I know you're doing. So yes, I know you're doing like this. Quick.
You're waiting for winning and someone about it. Or you so make out say so. We don't subscribe to channel idea, but more than say over subscribe. Now, while I give video, don't give us a thumbs up. Now, share my work for froso. Now, when you be here now, and someone also ever Ghana memoir. Also, bet me otchere wondering after and some way you know ever comment box in more. Obeti make in my next video.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.